for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. I'd now like to open a public comment period if there's any members of the public present who would like to comment.
No public on the meeting.
Okay.
Ross is here, just FYI. There's an item related to.
Okay, so we have a very long agenda. It made my computer crash several times just getting access to all the attachments. So should we take Ross's item first?
Yes, because he does have another meeting at 6.
Yeah, so and I've seen his billing rate, so.
Yeah, so this is an update. Yeah, there's an update to it, and it is budget impact. So Ross, I'll turn it over to you to explain where we're at, like what our current rate is.
And you know, I think Ross has already made that presentation to us. I feel like I've heard it.
This is another update though.
Oh, okay.
That was a, yeah.
All right. Well, you can be as brief as the situation allows, Ross.
Yeah, I know it seems like it was recent, but it actually wasn't that recent. And I think it's partly because of the COVID brain some of us have been afflicted with. So when I started for the district as interim district counsel in 2017, I basically did 6 months worth of work for $1,000. And we made a commitment then that we would continue to work with and support the district for legal services and charge a rate that is commensurate with where your financial position is. So over time, as the district's financial position has improved, especially with the passage of Measure R, we now have a more stable financial foundation for the district. And my firm's leadership is asked to bring the district's rates closer into line, but still offering a discount over our normal rate structure in recognition of the fact that we've been working together for so long. So the proposal that I've been authorized to offer is to increase the monthly up to $5,000 a month for up to 20 hours, which comes out to $260 an hour. Our normal rate as a point of comparison for our special district clients is $295 an hour. So that still represents a pretty significant discount. And what I've been able to negotiate with my firm's leadership is that if we can incorporate a CPI adjustment, we basically won't need to have this conversation nearly as often as it seems like we've been having them. And it'll provide a lot more, I think, predictability in moving forward. The other litigation and special counsel rates are also below our standard rates, but other than occasional personnel issues that mostly has been surrounding the AGM situation, we don't really have a need to provide litigation or special services. And what I typically try to do anyway is I try to put as much under the normal general counsel advisory services and transactional rate to make sure that we fill out the designated number of hours that the district is already paying for. I want to make sure that the money that the public has paid to the district that ends up being paid to us is actually going to the provision of legal services. And I in working with Jonathan, I think last year we had the right number about half the time, and we went over about half the time. And I think part of that is due to the lingering effects of COVID, and I think part of it too was related to some of the special services that for personnel and labor. So unless it really involves me bringing in somebody who is a subject matter expert that I can't handle, or that your assistant general counsel, Jamie Traxler, can't handle, I program it underneath the general counsel rate, because that's the lowest rate that I can offer. So if the CPI adjustment is approved as part of this contract, then that will help us basically maintain the rate level at a point where my firm leadership isn't going to keep bugging me, and therefore I don't have to turn around and keep bugging you. So that's the overall purpose of it. The other things that are made just a little bit more explicit or a little bit more clear are the cost sharing that I do. So whenever I do travel into the area, I split travel costs and time across 3 clients. IBCSD, Los Olivos CSD, in the Santa Maria Valley Water Conservation District. I pick a hotel in a location that allows me to serve all 3 clients and that provides the best rate. I use Hilton properties because I'm a Diamond member and I can get the lowest rate that they have available, and I get things like meals included. So those are all added. Those are not expenses that are passed on. They are a function of where I end up staying. And
well, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yes. And so I try to incorporate as many cost savings as we possibly can. It's just an offshoot of, our firm's commitment to representing special districts. And, as I constantly say, it's not your money, it's the people's money. And so we're always trying to be cognizant of how we're spending that. After some, in my opinion, unfounded criticism from some members of the community about meal costs, I don't charge those anymore. I don't submit them. And just for your edification, I usually go to Albertsons over there off of Stork, which used to be Vaughn's when I lived there. And I buy a couple of things and I eat those throughout the day, like salads and sandwiches. So, I'm not going out and spending, 10 or 15 bucks on a burger. I'm usually just spending $8 or $9 on a salad and an apple and call it a day, kind of a thing. So we do try and find ways to maximize the value and minimize the costs. And that's really it. Just to emphasize again that this is still about $35 an hour below our current rate for special district clients. And I feel confident that we will not be having this conversation again for a number of years, given the CPI will keep us all kind of on track and locked in. So I can answer any questions if you have them.
We've certainly been very happy with your work, and I see all the times that we turn to you for guidance, and you're always very able to give it to us on the spot or agree to do some research if you feel like you can't be absolutely certain of the answer. And so it's a very complex world these days, and there's all sorts of ways that you can get in trouble, and we feel a lot of confidence in having you at our side helping us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Spencer has his hand up.
Who does?
Spencer.
Oh, who else? Spencer. I think you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you.
Oh, there you are.
Ross, I feel the same way about you that I felt when you first walked into our committee meeting in 2017 when we didn't have staff or any of our operations together at all, which is incredibly grateful. Even more grateful now that we've been working together now for a number of years. So just again, want to say thank you for all that you do for us. My question on the contract was, so you're mentioning that you think that this will be a rate and a contract that we'll be able to have locked in for a number of years. Is there like a term on the contract that's specified? And I was looking for it and wasn't sure if I could find it.
No, it's basically until the board wants to change it, and we process those requests whenever they come in. It's basically as long as things are working fine, it will remain in effect. If for some reason we need to withdraw from representation, we have to give you 60 days, and we have to use our best efforts to get you connected with a new lawyer. That's one of our obligations under the rules of professional responsibility. We can't leave our clients out in the lurch, and that's regardless of monies owed or anything else. So ethical obligation first, we follow up and square up everything after that. And if at some point the board, however it may be constituted, wants to revisit the terms, all you need to do is let me know and we'll have that discussion.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying that. And so as a follow-up to that, the fee schedule that's in the agreement, is that something that is determined on an annual basis by the firm, or is that something that is enshrined in the contract?
The firm goes through a process of rate restructuring every year or every 2 years, but it does not apply to any existing contracts. So the contract is the full description of what you can anticipate. So for example, in the special services litigation area, it's built into the contract that those rates increase on an annual basis by $10 per hour. Again, not a concern for IVCSD because you don't have litigation and we don't really engage in any types of special services. And in the past, whenever I've identified potential special service areas, I've let Jonathan know ahead of time, and we have worked to structure it so that in the end, we didn't need to go down that route. But to fully answer your question, everything is built into the contract. If rates change on my side of things, it doesn't affect an existing contract. I would have to come back to the board and present some new structure if that's what my firm leadership wanted to do. But I wanted to avoid that. And so they said, okay, if you want to avoid that, we'll go with this discounted rate from our normal hourly and then get the CPI, and that we'll be happy with that.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Okay, and so are we going to say that we support this contract and want to take it to the board with our recommendation?
Yeah,
we enter into it.
There's no action to vote on that, but that's because it could just be applied. I mean, we'll take it to the board on Tuesday and support that.
Sounds good. And is there any more discussion that anyone wants to have?
Just echo our comments of gratitude for our legal counsel. Thank you so much, Ross.
And we're
My pleasure, it really is.
5 minutes between meetings to recompose yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a 5-minute power nap like Jay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your support before the full board.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, Ross.
And then I had a little trouble like understanding what attachments went to what part of the agenda. So we just let Ross jump in, but what were we talking about there? Was that 3.3 operations budget?
Yeah, operations budget.
So
there's a few other things for that one too.
So you want to continue with operations
Sure.
budget then, rather
Yeah,
than go
great.
to the, okay.
Yeah, so let me share my screen.
Yeah, you share your screen, Jonathan. Don't be old now.
Let everyone see. Okay, so I am actually doing the salaries a little different now, just to make it a little more clear what the calculation is. These can still change, but it just makes it evident why the numbers are. Before it used to just be like a lump sum, and then you're like, how does this break
Yeah,
down
no,
to what our salaries are? So
I like the way you've organized this
yeah,
stuff.
this is a new addition for this year. So the operations budget, the first one, and I'm gonna probably end up restructuring those programs now that we've developed a little more, because they're just in an old setup. So
yeah,
we might do that over the
This is a
summer.
great like first
first
pass at it, I think, and I think it gives a lot of clarity
Thank you.
about how we're spending our money.
Thank you. So the 2001 used to be a more expansive area, but now it's come down to being both myself and Ross. So this is my salary, the employee costs that come with an employee right here, which is FICA, workers' comp, and workers' comp prices did go up this year, as well as liability insurance. So we'll talk about that. But it used to be you'd allocate around $1,200 per employee to workers' comp costs, and now it's $2,400 about per employee. So it's double. Legal, I've reflected the new price in here, and this is one thing that it's in the folder as one of the proposals we've got, which is for CPA. So there's just different models that I wanted to talk through. We've talked about a couple of them in previous meetings, but one of them that I'm looking at now is, as you can see here, the AGM salary is not in this budget. It's just mine and the legal services. what I'm proposing is we do something like the CPA who will handle all financial matters. Not all of them. I would still do the budget. I would still do, a lot of the approvals. I'd still be very involved in like what needs to be paid and when, and I'd have all those roles, but they would do the, making the fin claims, processing them, sending them for approval, handling the receipts. Yeah, but a lot of the things that Shirley's doing right now, which has become like massively effective to have one person just focused and getting it done, it really does work well. So, I'm thinking of different models of how to move forward in this area, and the one where I'm looking at right now is doing the CPA proposal plus I'm like an executive assistant still to do some other like part-time executive assistant instead of a full-time position. So previously
instead of an AGM.
Yeah. And the reason being is, and we can get more into the details because this is more a finance committee.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I do think it's a good idea.
Thank you. It saves us money. It if these are the two big things I need off my plate, which is the finances and then the operational matters, if two different people with expertise on each can take that, then I can use all my time for doing the goals, making sure the programs are serving the,
big picture stuff.
all the projects we have going on. And then we don't really then need an AGM because I can take on these substantive items, and then the administrative and financial can be to these two positions. Because if you did the CPA, there's no point in having these other positions because it is a large part of the duties anyways already. Like it would be 60 or 50% of the job for these operations manager or AGM. So it's a cheaper way too. I haven't budgeted the executive assistant yet because I wanted to still bring it up more and assess I don't even know what the salary would be yet. But I do want to say that we should at least do the CPA. Like if we didn't do the executive assistant and we did that later or figure that out in the next couple months instead, we do have the CPA proposal already in hand, and it's a really reputable person. She works with multiple special districts in Santa Barbara County. Ross recommended her. They work together in Santa Maria. Jay says he's worked with her a lot.
I thought her rate was very good too.
Yeah, fair, and she just gets it. Like she uses Fin every day, and she understands the trials and issues. Yeah. So, and it would be done. Like the work would get done, and it would get done well. So we don't have to train someone in government accounting, which most people don't know. So that's the operations budgets. It's pretty different. It's me, Ross, and then accounting
I think that's a
services.
very astute way to go.
Thank you.
I
It's taken time to get here, but sometimes these things take a little time.
Everything takes time.
Yeah.
Sometimes plugging in the machines takes time.
It did
right?
take time. I forgot one plug today. Spencer has his hand up.
Spencer, excuse me for not noticing you sooner.
That's okay. I just raised my hand. I too really like the framework for using the accountant, the contracted accountant, the CPA. And so, Jonathan, the duties of this person would be essentially what you've got right now with the contracted staff that we have to help that. Is that right?
It would be way more actually. It would be a lot more.
Yeah, no, that's a huge load off.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like they would handle payroll.
The only thing I don't see there is like credit card reconciliation, bank rec.
Yeah, we don't have to do bank rec because the treasury does that. But yeah, the treasury handles it. They bug us. They let us know.
Credit cards.
We'll add credit cards.
Yeah,
we'll add credit cards.
Niggly.
And we're just removing budget prep because I'll just still do that. But yeah, this is pretty much everything. Like it even includes like filing our reports with the state. Like we have a compensation report, a financial transactions report. Just have someone who's focused and gets it in without being late or anything like that.
And there's so much of that kind of stuff. It's very
taking point on the audit, like preparing for the audit, preparing the financial statements. I mean, I do it all now. And I'll definitely still be involved in that because there's a lot of details and you need to know sometimes like what is this and how do I assign this. So I'll still be involved, but this person can get it all done.
Yeah, no, I'm very impressed with this proposal. It's obviously somebody who knows what they're talking about, has really thought it through. And again, I think the rate is really good.
Yeah, we can get a lot done with this. So great. So that's number one.
Do you still have your hand raised, Spencer?
I was just going to add, I love the what's written there in the description. I especially like the financial reports for management and board review. I think that that's something that would be nice for us to be able to have, like whenever we have anything on our agenda that has to do with finance, that has it in that formatted way. So that's super cool to hear.
Yeah, that'll be great. We haven't done that. We do a mid-year review, but now we can do monthly update. Doesn't even have to be verbal. It can just be on the
part of
agenda.
the packet, sure.
Yeah. Great.
All right.
Great. Big improvements. Next thing, so we already did the 2002.
Legal and
Yeah, we're done here. We're done with this one. This is the Sydney's area. We've talked about this, but it's just all plugged in now based on the board meeting and the discussions. The only thing that's different is Sydney requested that we reduce the intern to 10,000 to focus it. We're going to spread out the interns between different programs. So she just needs the one here for 10,000. We've got others for compost and community center. So we just reduced this one.
I'm not following yet. Sorry.
So we reduced extra help labor under 2002
Okay.
from 20 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have another intern who's getting paid by work experience agency. So we just don't need as many that we need to fund. So, and it is on our docket. We're not putting it in the budget because we're not sure if it'll happen, but if we do have the need, we'll go after work study this year. Sydney will go after the work study funds, and then we can fund another position if the need came up to do that. So we wouldn't need to put it in the budget. Next up is the office expenses. This is pretty simple right here. It's the same: training 3,000, our Wi-Fi 5,000, and this Wi-Fi covers here and the community center. Says for both, and it does a little bit of a public Wi-Fi system with Jay's nodes, so it's nice. 4,000 for the office. This will be mainly spent to we're going to turn this into like a community facing hub, so maybe some improvements here. We have to buy a laptop for the new program manager, and we have an upstairs suite that we can start populating soon, so we'll have some spend on this year. Copier, travel, these are the basic numbers for each one. Next is the 2004, the administrative costs. Audit has been around $8,000, around that every time for the audit. Payroll fees, I'm going to wait until the actuals finish, but we could maybe knock this down to 4,000, but I'm going to just wait until the actuals are done. So we might get a $2,000 saving here.
And do we have to do an audit every year?
We do, yeah. And then here's one, contractual services. What is it? I should have labeled it. This is the election. We have an election in November. So this is how much the election costs for us, is $15,000 to have candidates on. Well, this is assuming that there's one position, I guess, on the ballot. This is what it was last time. We don't know what the cost will be if there were 2 questions, but we'll see. We'll have to see what happens and maybe do a budget adjustment based on the filing for the final approval, because if enough people run, then it doesn't go to the ballot, and then we do save money. So I guess we have no opinion on that, but that's the only actual I have. And that's how much to measure our election cost as well, was 15,000. So we have 2 now that cost this much. So we'll just go with this until we know otherwise.
Is there any better label for that line item?
I'm gonna look,
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I could find one otherwise.
Sounds
But last time I looked was 2 years ago. So
Got it.
Because you're using a canned program? Is that why you have to look for a label?
oh no, a line item account, because we were using contractual services, but there could be election cost one called election costs.
Okay, we didn't set this up ourselves for.
These are fins. These are all
fins.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course, fin.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
It
I
seems
use
like they
whatever.
have election expense, huh?
I couldn't find it, but I'll check again. Maybe, yeah. They should, right? Everyone has them. That's one thing we all do. So
Or lots of us do
yeah,
anyway.
we
Yeah.
almost, yeah. So the next one is administrative expense again, another one where I don't have great labels sometimes, but this is for our timesheets. So necessary. So this is like just our back end administrative area. So payroll, timesheets, and liability insurance. So this did go up by only 2,000. Thankfully, the workers' comp went up by way more. But yeah, so this is our liability, and finally, the board stipends. So all in all, this comes out to 484,000 for operations. So.
And for the board salary piece, how many meetings a month?
That's
is
for
that?
the three.
Three.
That's for three, for 300 each.
Okay.
It's budgeted for the three, yeah. It's a weird number, though, 26. Oh, I think it's I know what I did. I just, my formula was wrong. I had it for 8 or 10 months instead of 12. So let me adjust that.
And wasn't there some more things that board members were gonna be paid for in the future?
Like these meetings, yeah, we're gonna get
And
that.
So that's incorporated in here?
That's this, yeah, we're almost done. I had our management partners, consultants, like just start getting that set up. So there'll be like the request form or something. But yeah, that's what this is budgeted for. So 3 times 100 times 12
Because
months.
just the board members, board meetings are 2.
Yeah, so that it should be 25,000 actually. So we'll adjust that. All right, so that's that. That's operations. We can, I guess, go to the next item if you guys are ready.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the next one is parking budget. And the reason I attached this, which is the last parking committee update to the board, is just so that we know what the proposal budget is, which is 245,000. So the parking ad hoc committee is planning to come forward to the board soon.
Uh-huh.
They are gonna be recommending the 245,000 amount
Mm-hmm.
for us. And I went and checked with Julie what the split is between between the fiscal years, like how much of this is in next fiscal year, how much is in the one after. She says it's about 80-20. So this is about 191,000 in this fiscal year as a cost. And that's 191,000, but potentially funded by other sources. We have been working to get a county source for 82,000 a third. That's near final approval, and we are looking at this 50,000 amount that the UCSB LRDP had allocated for parking studies that we're trying to secure. And then we also have an option of using the UCSB contribution pool, which is right. We'll go over this in the fund balance. There's a lot of extra surplus in there that we can draw from. And then finally, it could be our own contribution from our undesignated reserves or ongoing funds. So we have to still figure out this funding plan because nothing's final yet. We're still cobbling it together. But I just wanted to let you all know it would be 190,000 cost for next fiscal year, and then the remaining 50,000 in the one after.
Since funding from the county is being sought for this, I'm going to recuse myself
Okay.
from this item.
Sounds good.
Be right back.
And the staff report, I just wanted to note that it seems to be misattributed to the festival ad hoc committee.
Yeah, that's I guess I did that wrong in March.
That's an old one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just.
But yeah, the rest of the content is correct. though.
Yeah, I could see after I got oriented to it.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. So we will have to end up, putting on different revenue amounts for this once we figure it out. But I know the board did give a preference that we should put the full cost right now in the budget, and then we can look at the revenue numbers later. So the full cost, if we wanted to put it in, would be 191, and then we get different funding amounts for that.
And then we got a communication from Dean Stewart, and was that specifically on this item here? It was about parking and.
Our committee did meet with him
You did.
to get feedback in our
Okay.
process, and then he decided to email the board.
So that was more for the board than for this.
Yeah,
subject
it wasn't
right now.
about this. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, Spencer, hello, sorry.
No worries. So the line in that report that said this would result in $41,000 per year for cost to the district if successful. Is that number still correct if you multiply it over 2 years?
Yeah, well, that's the ideal number too, though. Like that was assuming we get an equal split between the county and UCSB. But we don't know if we'll get the equal amount from UCSB.
Yeah. Well, I guess I would just say I think that the goal of having an equal split between all entities, to me, from a policy perspective, is preferable. And if that has to come in in the form of a UCSB request for the pledged money, I'm supportive of that. But I think that it just makes it very clean budget wise to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do have enough. I mean, if we wanted to, we do have enough to use the UCSB contribution either for all of our share besides the counties or most of it. So we can, I guess we'll work that out with the board and with the committee later. But I guess the main goal for today is just knowing that and this is wrong too, because this is outdated information. I just got the new word from Julie today about the split, but it's going to be, because this is when we were going to start in April instead of starting now. It would be 191,000 in this fiscal year, 50,000 in the next fiscal year, and how that 191 splits down, I haven't figured it out yet because I just got the number today. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'll plug it in here. Right here, we'll put 191. And then we'll see, we'll still need to go to the board. It's obviously all contingent still, but just wanted to make sure it's
we get
reflected.
more information all the time too.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that makes more sense. I was confused, and I thought you were saying that you were going to put the total 200,000 in, but you were talking about the total of all three entities budgeted.
Yeah,
not
for next fiscal year, it will be 191. Yeah.
Got
And then we'll put in the revenue side here under parking. Where is it? I'll put here, well, we already have, this is the STEP grant, but we'll put another grant. Like if there's a grant from UCSB, it'll go here. And if there's a grant from the county, it'll go in the other intergovernmental account. So it'll show up on the revenue area. And then down here, it'll show you if we're positive or negative. The parentheses essentially means how much from the UUT is going. So the more parentheses, I mean, yeah, when it's a whole negative, it's like for the mediation program, it's being totally funded by by its own revenue. So no UUT is going to be used for it.
Got it.
All right. So that's parking.
Okay,
Next one is,
should we get
oh,
Ethan back?
Ethan's right here. Yeah,
Come back.
Thank you.
no problem.
All right.
Then the next one, so I'll just go, they found me advocate, but let me go to planning next because it's more related. So this is also a board decision, but we need to maybe start discussing a little bit in the finance committee. It's fit into our budget, but the KTUA had submitted for the planning report I now realize I attached the one that doesn't have the budget on the second page. So let me navigate to our budget from them. But it's about $100,000. So we do want to maybe discuss today in the finance committee, once I get the exact number, how you're all hoping to recommend to the board we fund this. Is it, it is okay, 87,945. And I think we had said maybe we can cut this down a little more potentially. And oops, let me zoom that in. 89,945. So we could do this as like a one-time funding from our fund balance, like instead of from we could not afford this in our ongoing expenses this year. So if we wanted to fund it, it would be something that we pool like a specific amount from our reserve to fund. So I guess that's up to you guys to see where you feel about this. And I know the board still needs to say, yeah, we want to do this too. But yeah, we do need to also give them a plan to fund it. So.
And as far as using like fund balance or reserves,
Yeah.
Is there a specific line item?
Yeah, let me just show you guys. So we have 853,000 of surplus reserves. So, oops, why this doesn't zoom in enough? Okay, So this year is 21-22. This is an estimated actual, so it's not obviously going to be the final one yet, but we plan to have 1.6 million in our fund balance at the end of the year. Huge amount of money, more than a year of revenue. 112,000 is our assigned fund balance. These will actually become, oh, sorry, keep going to the wrong one. We will have 1.9 million at the end of this year. We plan to zero out 2 of our UCSB grants, right? It's because I'm clicking on the wrong area. Okay. We plan to zero out 2 of our UCSB grants. Sorry, it's just, I was looking at the wrong screen. I should be looking at my computer. We'll zero out 2 UCSB grants. We'll be down to 43,000. And then we have these requirements in our budget. So this short-term strategic is supposed to be like 16% of our yearly revenue. Capital maintenance is like 5% of our expenditures. We have these different formulas. The way they've calculated out based on this year's numbers are new. So they've gone up a little bit. So like our short-term strategic went up from 140 to 168, for example. They've all gone up a bit. So our designated reserves, the ones that we have committed to having, they total $1 million. And then we have an additional 853,000 that's not designated for anything. It's just above, it's just money that's, accumulated above our reserves that we have committed to. And then we have this 103,000 of our unspent UCSB dollars. So we do have 956,000 of funds that are, open to spend. They're not committed to anything directly. So that's where you could maybe take this out of this, take 10% of that undesignated and put it towards the, planning effort.
That certainly makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And it seems like an important thing for us to be doing. So we should find the money.
Yeah, I think that's a clean cut recommendation.
Okay. Do you guys have an idea? I know we will. I don't know if you have an idea of how much you'd want to fund this for, or if we should just put in the placeholder full amount now, and then we can renegotiate that and change the budget in the future. I guess that's might be my, it's maybe the simplest way is put 87,000, but it's a preliminary. We might revise it.
Sure.
So
It's worst case.
yeah, worst case, highest amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then-
Spencer,
I agree with that.
thank you. Okay.
Oh, also, sorry, Ross does want me to say, he said we were not charged for his time today to make his case about his charges.
That's
Like that was, on his.
he was representing himself.
Yeah, he was like,
Not
I'm not.
us. That's
Thank you.
cute. As he should be. All right.
Let me put this in. All right. The next one. Family advocate. So this was one the board punted to us here to discuss. So I was wondering if you guys wanted to discuss it now, or if you wanted to maybe go over the rest of the budget before. Up to you guys. How do you want to do this? The 43,000.
Let's talk about the family advocate now.
Okay.
So do you want to orient us to this?
Yeah, so it's it's a $43,000 request from IB Youth Projects to do this position. It would be contracted through them. It operate out of the community room. I think the goal, I guess, would be to create more connections between families and users in the district and give them services. But 43,000, it seemed like the price was high from the board meeting. From the board member, and then there was also seemed to be I guess an appetite to maybe in-house things more than having them contracted out. So yeah, but it is, if it's a financial decision, 46,000, this would need to be a reserve allotment at this point. Because we lost internet. I lost internet at least.
We didn't lose Spencer though.
We did not lose Spencer. Somehow the IVCSD internet got.
Okay, Spencer wants to say something. So let's let him say something.
Well, we'll keep going as long as the internet's working.
I'm back. There we go.
Okay, good. I just wanted to try to start this conversation by saying I think we should ask ourselves and try to come to an agreement about what it is that we're trying to perform here. When Maya and Jonathan and I met with IVYP staff, the need that was presented was twofold. First, to help Maya better communicate with diverse groups in our community, especially those that speak Spanish, which she expressed she doesn't have the ability to do at this present time. And second, to make sure that those groups are being both included and becoming like active users of the space, both for our in-house programming, but also for potentially throwing their own programming, renting the space. And so I guess in looking at the proposal, it's got these additional elements too that are very focused towards IVYP's operations. And I'm wondering if there's just a way for us to try and strip down maybe some of those aspects and either do this in partnership with IVYP in some other form, maybe through them providing us some sort of consultation or just having a close working relationship with whoever the person is. But I guess I just want to say I see the need. I think I mentioned this at the board, and curious to hear other folks' thoughts about how we can make this work in a different way.
Ethan?
Yeah, thank you. Spencer, I think you laid it out really well. I definitely hear that Maya needs help in this area, and that's something we want to invest in. But I agree that if we can hold on to that part without overextending our current resources, that's what we have to do. And Jonathan, you mentioning that we would have to go into reserves for this definitely helps just frame the financial reality. Looking at IVYP's kind of extra parts of this proposal, like a lot of that would be great, and perhaps we can be a partner in them to applying for grant funding somewhere else, where maybe if we can get some more funding from outside entity at that time, maybe we can chip in a little bit to help too. But we can't afford to take on the full burden of the position right now. So I think if we kind of arrive at that middle ground that you mentioned, Spencer, we'll be in good shape.
Well, here's an idea that we've talked about with Maya, which is we have a budget already here for a community center intern, and we could make that position like required to be bilingual in Spanish and just start off with an intern and see how this works. And maybe it's very successful and there's a high need, and okay, we need maybe not more time or more effort into it, but maybe it's not working out well and we need more help, and we can assess like, okay, maybe we do need to bring in someone else, or maybe there's not as much of a need. So we are going to hire somebody to do this kind of work of like helping Maya do just more, promotion and getting more tasks done. And if we make it a bilingual position, maybe then we could do some of these things ourselves and then test them out. And we were already going to try to do that intern anyways, but we can kind of try to do both with one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. I felt concerned when we heard the presentation at the board that it was too squishy and that we wouldn't really have any particular way of making sure that that person was getting around to meeting our needs, and that it would be challenging to monitor that or step in if it didn't seem like it was working and assert our needs. It felt to me a little ambiguous and that amorphous, and that it would be difficult for us to be in that relationship. And I had a little bit of conceptual trouble understanding why we would be funding that.
Mm-hmm. And Jonathan, one question I have is, have you received any feedback from IVYP like after our board discussion or any revisions to the proposal?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
Okay. So what are we gonna say to the board then?
Well, if you could say to the board, like, we don't have it in the current budget to fund this without going into reserves, and we don't think maybe we should go into reserves.
And if we were to go the route of having a bilingual intern, do we just want to convert that current position, or is this something where, maybe we should put a little more resources into it and end up with 2 interns?
We could do either or. I mean, we can have like maybe extra budget to grow into 2 interns. I don't know if like we want to start off with
Sure.
2 yet, but we could just have that flexibility maybe in there. Like instead of 7,000, get 10,000, and so maybe it's like you can get another intern midway through.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe get 1 intern working extra 15 hours instead of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so give someone more hours. Like, oh, there's a lot of work. Let's bump you up from 10 to 15. So.
Yeah. I'd put that forward so that way we're doing something to expand and show intention for meeting this need.
Okay.
I like that idea.
So just increasing her intern position a
Spencer?
bit more. Like,
Has his hand up, believe.
Yeah, I like the intern idea. I wonder operationally if 1 intern is going to be able to accomplish that, though, just because, I mean, I know that all of our programming where this language support is needed is scheduled at certain times, that it's not always easy to schedule an intern, at set times, across the week. So I'd be supportive of saying, hey, if we want to do this, let's do it right. Let's budget for the positions, however many positions of interns that we think it'll take to meet the need.
And just as we talked about with the compost collected, maybe we're just setting an amount. We're not saying a number of bodies. So it could be more bodies, less hours each.
true.
For more flexibility.
That's true. We can figure out how it gets implemented. Yeah.
I mean, I think in general that's a better way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we could say our interns right now are paid $15 an hour. Right now, the current budget is for 500 intern hours for the community center for the year.
10 a week.
That's like 10 a week. So maybe we can do that 20 a week. Is that what you guys are thinking?
Yeah.
That seems like
Sounds good to me.
we could get a little oomph for that.
Get some stuff done. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
especially
15,000.
with Maya directing the show.
Yeah, she'll have a lot
That
of
woman's
work.
got enough oomph to
Yeah.
spill over.
That's true. That's true. They'll have a lot of fun working with her. All right. So that's the family advocate position. And then we can go. We did planning already. All right. So let's just do a quick overview of the entire budget. Like now, this is pretty much now a full package. It's ready. It's almost, I don't want to say it's like done, but we can almost go to the board soon for preliminary approval. So let me please go over.
Okay, could I just
Yeah.
like a little clerical
Oh, yeah.
thing?
For sure.
To me, it makes more sense if the Survivor Resource Center is lumped in with the safety things, with the
Public safety.
the public safety programs.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's been in there because it's under like we put the community programs as the community facilities tower. Like we tried to link all these towers. I don't know if that's also the right way to go anymore, but yeah, we could move Survivor Resource Center to public safety.
It just seems
Totally
like that was,
doable.
it made a logical
Yeah.
grouping
We're in
my
a
mind.
restructuring mode anyway.
That
Let me
sounds
put it in my notes. Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of randomly jumped around. Also, 5,500 for janitorial services is like $100 a week. That seems like nothing.
Yeah.
Is that like 4 hours?
I mean, they clean all these buildings, so maybe we just got scale of like them being here a lot. Because they clean our offices, they clean this room, they clean the community center, they clean the community room, and they clean all the common areas in the building, so.
Well, if we're getting enough and you're happy, but it sounds like woefully inadequate for heavy use facilities.
Yeah, we can see if,
I mean, if we can get away with it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm seeing it as a potential red flag area
Yeah.
because you don't want to get in trouble with janitorial,
That's
that,
true.
your facility starts to look like hell.
yeah, I mean, I'll say that one of the biggest reviews we get for the community center is that's very clean. Like, that's one of the top user reviews, that's very clean, so
It's
they're
a
doing
nice-
something right.
It's a nice attribute to
Yeah.
have, definitely.
They're doing something right, yeah.
But I just would keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Because, to me, it looks like we're not spending enough.
Okay.
And if it turns out we're not spending enough, we need to spend enough.
Okay, I think that's a good one for reassessing over the summer and for the final
Just
budget.
over the
Yeah,
course of the year.
it's
is
in my,
fine.
it's in my notes.
But that is very important, I think, to our community.
Yeah.
Keep
Keep
things
clean,
clean, so.
yeah. And yeah, the community room is, yeah, they're clean, both, the county pays for the community room. So I guess that's
Oh.
one thing we don't have to pay for is
Yeah,
the county's
that's
paying,
true.
it's part of our
Yeah.
rent already. So we're paying
Yeah.
for the center and this office. So pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty good.
well.
Big Green has been a great partner.
That's good.
They come out on instant if we need them, give us good prices for things. We had a styrofoam spill in the yard, in the parking lot this year. They came out right away, $300, cleaned it all up. So they're pretty
Yay.
good. They're pretty
We
good.
don't want you out there with a push broom.
Yeah.
And real quick, before we leave the last discussion
Yes.
on the community center interns, I went through our budget just to see how we're doing with programming and events, and we have the $47,000 there. And I think as long as this is a good opportunity for us to be intentional about making sure like a good part of that funding goes towards the communities that the IVRPD proposal is targeting.
Right.
And I know that's in line with Maya's plan. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. That 40,000, 47,000 is it's all spoken for, or like it's all broken down in different ways, like the Zumba classes and the dance classes and the childcare. There's even in that 47, there's budget for the childcare helper for the event. So that's already also in there. So we're kind of already doing some of this. So we'll have a childcare person and an intern to do outreach.
totally. I unfortunately have a 6:30 hard stop today, so I'll see you all on Tuesday.
Right
All
on.
right, I think
right
we're
on.
done. I'm pretty much
We're
done.
pretty much done. The budget here is just, I mean, I don't need to go over it because we just already have over the last many weeks. So look over it.
Mhm.
We'll have one more meeting before June 28th to do a final and recommend preliminary budget. And then we'll have a summer break a little bit and then get back to it and finalize the budget in August. So I'm almost done.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Susan.
I'm gonna head out this way.
Tricky.
Yeah, we still have salaries to deal with at the next finance committee. That's,
And have we gotten any more data?
yeah, that's in the email I just sent you.
Oh, the
So I
one that
haven't-
I'm like,
But I don't have
I'm
the
on the
files.
couch, I
Yeah.
can't read this.
I don't have the files yet myself. Like I
Okay.
only saw them on a share screen on Zoom.
Okay,
So I don't have the materials to work with you guys on this. So
okay, so
we'll do
just
one
do
more
it
meeting
at
for
the-
that.
Okay. So our next meeting then is when?
We need to determine that. I should have done it before Ethan left. I'll have to text you guys, but probably the week of the 20th, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Any of those days will.
So in 2 weeks, like that
In 2
20?
weeks, yeah, and that'll give us enough time for like these touch-ups and tune-ups.
Okay, Monday, I'm busy,
Yeah.
Tuesday, I'm busy.
Okay.
Wednesday, I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
Wednesday's best for me.
we'll shoot for Wednesday. Spencer,
Does that work for you, possibly?
Yeah, I'm open any of those days.
I'll text Ethan to figure out his time, but
Okay,
yeah, definitely look at the linked 2022-2023 working budget file for IVCSD. That has everything in it. It has our revenue projections, where the revenue number comes from. It has the actuals for this year, so you can compare this year's actuals to what we're spending for next year. It has the fund balance analysis. It has the full, budget page, and then the program spending. Some things are not yet complete, like the revenue history and the ongoing versus allocated. And yeah, so there's some, but those things don't get filled out until later in the process. So we are now though finally done with every program. I mean, it's a big accomplishment. We've gone through every program, and this budget is $1.7 million. Isn't that incredible?
we're grown-ups now.
We're growing up.
I can barely even believe that.
Yeah. Between all the different grants and funds and, every different source we have, 1.7 million.
Hmm.
And I also included in the revenue here, this festival sponsorships for 10,000 as a goal, which I think came with the board meeting. So that's in here. So yeah, we have a strong fund balance, $2 million almost. So we're set.
All right, we'll end the meeting on that good note.
Yes.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm calling this meeting adjourned.
All right, thank you. There you go. It's freezing. We have to find a new location next time. We can't turn it off. We tried. Me and Shirley were sitting there.
And it's really cold.
Yeah.
I was curious whether, you never know. I came straight from Paradise Road. It was 89.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
comically different.
Yeah, definitely. It was really hot there, but you never know.